unity, encouragement, and I know where to get it. Let's rise with the set. Come on, come on, rise. Let's go higher, higher, higher. Rise with the set. Rise with the set. Well, howdy! No, I'm just messing. How y'all doing this morning? It's good to be here. Woo! It's good to be here. Another episode of Rise with Lessette live talk show. So glad that you're here this morning. And hey, it's been interesting this weekend. I tell you, I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming on back and seeing what we got to offer for today because we got a great show for you today. Make sure you go and call somebody and tell them to tune in today, all right? And please don't forget to do some live chatting, all right? We got a great guest. His name is Bill Myers. I mean, this man is awesome. And I just want to say thanks to my crew that's working in the back, to Keone and Productions. My God, all you great cast here and the staff. We thank you so very much for all what you do every show.
I
And I
feel
just want to
underdressed, Lissette. I really, really, I didn't get the memo that we were going full regalia today, and now I just have this T-shirt on.
oh,
See how
that's
you
all.
do me?
That's all right. Don't even worry about it. But you know what? I don't know about y'all, but I did y'all kind of get some bad vibes with this time change, because it's like my husband, he got up to go to work and he thought he was going to work the regular time. I did too because I didn't set the clock forward. And people was calling at work. His supervisor called said, "Well, uh, where's Mr. K at?" I said he's gone to work. I mean, he's on his way. I mean, gosh, he's got like 45 minutes to get there, and it was so crazy. Come to find out, he was late, an hour late. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Lissette, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Set the clocks. Wait, please tell me that y'all are not in that age group where y'all are still using regular clocks that you have to change manually
I know, I
and
know.
not using your cell phone
I
to
had my
wake
phone right there. The phone was accurate, but the alarm clock was set. So I guess whatever. But it was really crazy. It was funny. I'm telling on you, honey. It was funny. It was really really funny. But it's really interesting. But really, thank you guys for being here today. And what you heard was "I Dropped." That's the song that you was listening to. And you can pick that up, or you can on Instagram. I mean, on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, whatever. If you want to check that out, just search "I Drop" by Lessette. But you know what? This is really interesting today because I don't know about y'all, but didn't we have the Oscars last night? We had the Oscars, right? How many saw the Oscars? Raise your hand. That's my only hand raised. But anyway,
I was just about to say, you can't see them, right?
I'm just playing. But it was interesting because there was someone up. It was Billie Eilish, and Fin- Fendiers O'Connor. Fendiers O'Connor. I hope I'm saying it right. But she sang the song, "What Was I Made For?" And I'm telling you, that was so beautiful because sometimes we ask ourselves, what was I made for? And it's kind of hard to be yourself, for any product to be what it is, or any person to be what who they are, if they don't know what they were made for. The song was just so beautiful. And they actually won, I think it was best song for something. I saw it, so I wrote it down somewhere. But anyway, it was just really beautiful. And what was I made for today? I just want you to know that you are made for a purpose. God made you for a reason, that you're special in His sight, and you actually have a purpose. I mean, everything that the Lord made, it was a purpose behind it. And you have a purpose. You may say, well, I don't know what that is. Well, you need to go back to the manufacturer and ask him. Go back to God. I said, why did you bring me on this earth? Why this? Why this are some people that are gifted in the arts, in the music, and art and dance. You know, some people are great debaters, some people are great inventors, you know, and all kind of things and gifts that people are made up of and make their existence. So you need to channel it back to yourself and ask yourself, why did you make me, Lord? Why did you make me? And but He did have a purpose in mind when He made you. So that's why the song was so beautiful. What was I made for today? So don't forget that today, that you are made for a purpose. You're made for a reason. You're special, and God had something in mind when He made you. And a little bit of the of a hint is what you're good at. What are you good at? What do you wake up with in the morning? What do you lay down with at night? What do you have on your mind all during the day? You know, what excites you? What, you know, what say, hey, I just want to do this, that. What can you do easily? What can you do and not even get paid for? I mean, you just be happy at doing it. That's a little hint on what your purpose may be. But let's be about our.
Isn't it
Mhm.
crazy that you can? I mean, I guess it wouldn't be crazy at any age. You can ask yourself that question because literally, I literally asked that question.
Wow.
I didn't watch the Oscars, and I'm hearing you talking about the song she was singing, and I literally said, "What? What? Why am I here?" And I was like, "I have no idea." And I'm 45, and I still have no idea.
Well, you know what? I believe that some of that, why you're here, Keone, is for people like me that need a chance, that needs a chance to show their gifts, and how you take people's gifts, the actors and the models and the talented people,
Mhm.
and you begin to let them shine. You say, hey, this is a platform for you to shine. And I think that's definitely one of the reasons why the Lord made you. So I thank God for you. And I thank God even for Mr. Myers that's getting ready to come on, because you know what? I met Mr. Myers in Kinston at the African American Music Trail Committee, because he was on the committee, and
Mhm.
I met him, and I'm saying, this is a great man. You know, I had no idea that they actually wanted me to be in the African American Music Trail. I didn't know that, but I thank God. I'm honored. He's a great man, and we're going to hurry up and bring him on. So please, audience, don't forget to live chat if you have a question to ask Mr. Myers. Please do so, and let's get this conversation on. All right.
All right.
All
So
right.
that your introduction?
My name is Dave. That's the best I can do for right now. Woo! So let's Bill Myers has a long resume, y'all. I'm telling you, it is so long. I mean, oh wow, but he is the godfather. I say the godfather, but they say the father of the African American music trail of Eastern North Carolina. And he's known so many people. He has a band, the Monitors. He's got the 2014 North Carolina Heritage Award. Um, he's got oh my God, he's also got the Longleaf Pine by Governor Roy Cooper in 20, let's see now, 2022. So he's just at just a wide range of talent and wisdom that Mr. Myers has. He also uh, some of the his band, some of the he opened. He's mm, Jesus help me, Jesus keep me near. But anyway, it's just you can read his measure. Not food play. You can read.
His bio. It's a pretty good lengthy bio. We retyped it and it was still long, but hey, that's not saying it in a bad way. That's good. That's a full life. He has spent a full life of not only achieving things, but also making sure that he helped other people achieve things. You know, I always say there's only one real way to live forever. If you teach somebody something they didn't know and they can teach it to somebody else, that's how you stay. Because even though down the line they don't know who it came from, we know where it came from, right? You
Amen.
can feel that. And being a teacher and a mentor throughout your life is one of the most important things that you can do. Never be self-concerned with just you and what's going on with you at you in your time, and also evolving and still teaching till this day. At his age, still teaching, never set in his ways, saying, "Well, I've done enough." So that's what I love about people like Mr. Myers. That's never going to stop doing it until the time comes where we can't do it anymore.
There we go. Because it's obviously a passion, and on to that, he founded the Monitors, and they served as backing band for renowned artists such as Otis Redding, Millie Jackson, Ray Charles. Oh my God, and also that Roberta Flack was in his band as well. I mean, my God, the man is awesome. So, without further ado, we would like to welcome you, Mr. Myers, to the show.
Thank you. I love the
Miss-
sound effect. I heard applause.
Oh, that's just my heart beating. I'm just messing. Mr. Myers, Mr. Myers,
Please call me
Bill,
Bill.
Bill,
Yes.
my God, thank you for coming on the show. And where are you at this time? Where are you? What state are you
I'm
in?
at home in a back room that I've converted into a music room. This was my son's bedroom. So when he left, I turned it into my private music room.
Wow. I just want you to just tell us a little bit about you, Mr.
Wait,
Myers.
Lissette, before you have him tell him about himself, you missed something very important in what he just said.
He said his son's bed.
He said, when his son left, he turned it in the music room. For every person out there that's a young parent, what that means is you not only turn it into the room you're going to use, but it's also the reminder that, hey, this room is gone.
It's gone.
So you,
Y'all heard that out there, youngest? It's gone.
so you stay, you ain't coming back. This room is
It ain't coming
occupied.
back anymore. I love that. Yes, but tell us a little bit about yourself, Myers, Bill, please.
Well, I've got a long story. I'm 91 years old to start with. So I've got a whole lot to tell you about. I was originally born in Greenville, North Carolina. I went to CMF's High School in Greenville, North Carolina. I left there and I went to Virginia State University in Petersburg, Virginia. I served in the military for a couple of years in active duty and 6 years in reserve, serving in Korea. When I returned from the Army, I got a job working in Elm City, North Carolina at Frederick Douglas High School. I was hired as a music teacher, which meant that I was going to be teaching band and chorus and general music to the population there. I really only went to stay 1 year. I had dreams of becoming a big time musician and going on and doing my personal thing. But something happened to me that year. I went there and I found students who didn't seem to be too inspired. They were satisfied being maybe sharecropping and things like that, and I certainly didn't want to condemn that. But I wanted to make a point to them that was something else in life. There was more to life than doing what they were doing. And so I was on a mission to show them, to take them places they had never been, to say there's a whole nother world out here that you need to be a part of. You need to go see things. There were kids there who had never seen the ocean, who had
Wow.
never been to the capital city, Raleigh, who had never seen a Broadway show, all sorts of things, who had never been on a pair of skates. And I said, well, God must have sent me here to try to rectify some of this. So that was my mission. I stayed there. Like I said, I only meant to stay 1 year, and but that got me. And I stayed and stayed and stayed, and stayed in education for almost at 40 years, basically. I left being a music teacher. I became the assistant principal of that school. And when integration came, I was moved to what had been the quote white school, and I became the assistant principal and eventually the principal of Elm City High School. And then when that was changed to Elm City Middle School, I was the principal of that school. And then in 1988, I became the first African American to be appointed as assistant superintendent of Wilson County Schools. So that's my life in a nutshell,
Okay.
doing those types of things.
That's powerful. It's just amazing how that we all got a beginning. We have a beginning. It started somewhere.
Yeah.
How did this how how can you bring us into the knowledge of the African American Music Trail?
Yeah.
How did this start for you of the knowledge? How do you know about this information?
Well, like I said, I've been called the father of that trail because it basically kind of started with some ideas that we were kicking around. I was a member of the North Carolina Arts Council Board of Directors for 12 years. And that's a very, very hard-working organization. I can't praise them enough. They do excellent work. People of North Carolina really need to know how serious those people are about allocating funds throughout the state and the time that they spend in making sure that it's done equally and fairly. Well, I was there, as I said, for 12 years. While we were there, we organized what is called the Blue Ridge Mountain Heritage Trail in western North Carolina. That's an actual trail that you can walk down, you can ride your bicycle down, you can drive down. It goes through North Carolina into Virginia. And that was a big time accomplishment for us during that time. Well, about my 12th year, I was talking to the chairman of the board. His name was Wayne Martin. And I said, Wayne, we need something like this in eastern North Carolina. There's a lot of history in eastern North Carolina that has gone. There's no books about it. People don't know about it. And I think we need to recognize all the accomplishments that have been made in eastern North Carolina. He said, Bill, I think that's a great idea. Let's do something about that. Well, the very next, knowing Wayne, he makes things happen immediately. The very next day, my doorbell rings and there's a lady standing at my door, and she's a writer, a reporter. And she says, Wayne sent me here to talk about establishing some type of historical event, a movement in eastern North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So she came in, she interviewed me, long interview. We talked about all the things that had happened and things, places I had been, the people I had met. I said, well, hey, I'm not alone in this. There are many others in here, right here in Wilson, who have done similar things. So I started making telephone calls. I called Sam Lathan. I called Gloria Burks. I called a lot of people who came to the house who sat in the living room, and she interviewed all of them that day. And she came back the second day and continued the interviewing. And I said, well, I think we maybe have exhausted the thing here in Wilson. Let's go to another town now. Let's go to Lenoir County.
Mm-hmm.
There, we're going to Kinston. We met with the mayor and the officers of the Kinston Arts Council, and we said we want to honor those persons who have made things happen here in Kinston. A lot of folks have done great things here in Kinston. We did that in Kinston. We left there, went to Pitt County. We did the same thing. We left there and went to Edgecombe County. We did the
Now,
same thing.
now, excuse me, who are some of the artists in Kinston that you put
Well,
in the? Mhm.
well, we talked about you.
Oh,
and,
okay.
and doing that, we talked about Dick Knight, we talked about Maceo Parker, we talked about Nat Jones, and all those people who have done big things and who are known nationally in some cases, but maybe people kind of forgot or didn't remember some of the things that they had done. And so I said, these people need to be recognized in here. We were able to get a grant from the Department of Transportation for $250,000.
Okay.
And that enabled us to make these trips around the counties. Well, we got to nine counties in there. And we did our research and talked about as many people as we possibly could. And the money ran out. We never got down to Wilmington and other places where there have been some outstanding musicians in that area, and that we never got there. And I'm always hoping that we could get back to that and renew our efforts to bring them a part of it. But we got to 9 counties, recognizing those persons in those counties who had been outstanding in their various endeavors. Like I said, in Kinston, we talked about Lessette Carnegie. We talked about Dick Robert Knight and Maceo Parker and Nat Jones and birth of funk music and those things like that. And we were able to do that. And then we were able to get it published. There's a book all about the African American music trail. It's not a real trail that you can actually walk, but it's about the importance of a historical adventure coming through all the 9 counties and talking about those people who some have been not recognized and the things that they did to make North Carolina better.
Wow. That is so awesome. You know, that's just amazing how a county and a town can have such um, creative people and they go unnoticed. It's like walk by people in a day's time and you don't know who that person is. You don't know what they are gifted in. You don't know really what their purpose is. You have no idea who you are connecting with, who you are around, who are you're surrounded with. I think that's amazing. I
Well,
sometimes we just don't know.
yeah, you don't know. Well, with that in mind, we do something here in Wilson. I'm the founder and executive director of the Oliver Nestor Freeman Roundhouse and African American Museum.
Hmm.
The idea was that because our history has been so omitted from textbooks and things like that, and our kids don't know who did things, and our seniors have sometimes forgotten who done some things, we started a museum here in the year opened in 2001. It was gratifying. It became a community effort. A man named Oliver Nestor Freeman had built a small house, a round house, only 3-room house,
Okay.
and it sat abandoned for several years. And we went to city council and asked that that house be moved and made into an African American museum. Well, that was some reluctance at first, but
Wow.
because that program was televised that night, people came to my house the next day bringing money to saying we support that idea.
Mm.
The very first lady who came brought a check for $5,000 and said,
Wow.
"This is a great idea. Let's make it happen." And people started bringing $50 and $1, 50 cents, and things like that. And then finally, I got a call from Betty McLean, who at that time was the Secretary of Cultural Resources, and she said, "Well, I've got $25,000 in an account that went unspent last year, and I want to put this on this endeavor." Oh, that was gratifying. We took that. I went back to City Council. I said, "Hey, we have some money here now. Let's make this project happen." Well, it
Hmm.
did. We hired some people to come in and move the house. We set it up. It needed a great deal of work. The ceiling was messed up. There was no floor. The windows and doors were out. But people started to volunteer. And as I said, it became a community effort. People passing by. A man named George Kennedy was walking the street. He says, I'll paint it for you, free of charge. Whitley's Electric said, I'll do the wiring for you, free of charge. Spray Tech Installation said, we will do the installation for you, free of charge.
Wow.
The teachers from Sally B. Howard School came in, said, well, it's going to need some landscaping. We'll purchase the plants and we'll plant them. So it became, like I said, a real community effort. But with that being said, it was an effort by us to say to the children, you can't forget these people who worked so hard for you in the past, who did
Hmm.
things, your teachers, your principals, who worked diligently for you to be a better person. And so with that, the kids do that, and then we didn't want the seniors to forget it. Well, we started collecting so many artifacts. We discovered things we didn't know. In fact, there had been a black newspaper in Wilson we didn't know anything about.
Wow.
1897 called the
Wow.
Wilson Blade. And so we got a
Wow.
copy of it. Later had a copy of it. We had that redone, and that's in the museum. And people started bringing us all kinds of things that happened in the attics for years. So we had so many things that we were able to say we need an additional building. So we got another building that was opened in 2018. So now it's the Oliver Nestor Freeman Roundhouse and African American Museum, open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 until 3.
And it is an
There's two
amazing
things
building.
that are amazing. One is that how you can continuously learn about history in the
Oh yeah,
present.
yeah,
You always think history has already happened, we should know it, but like he said, a lot of things aren't taught, and you're always learning new history. And then
exactly.
we have a special comment from, hey, Mr. Myers, it's C from Hello E&C. You came on the show last year about the Freeman Roundhouse
Yes, yes,
Museum.
yes.
Oh, Sierra, hey, how you
Thanks,
doing?
Sierra.
So awesome stuff. That is always great when a community helps in a project, and when vendors and people come in and they actually do it free. I mean, that's a great story. Taking an eyesore and turning it into something prosperous for the community.
It really is. Because I got a chance to perform at the Roundhouse, and it's a beautiful little building. This is cute. Now the little, it's actually round. I said, this is cool. How do they do that? I thought it was amazing. Bill, I just take us on a journey, with the African American music itself. How did it get started, you believe?
Okay, that's another long story, and to do that justice, we have to go way way back, all the way back to 1619. This, is when people were enslaved in this country, brought here from the west coast of Africa, and to be enslaved from 1619 all the way up to 1863 with
Wow.
the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. And then some were not even freed then. Didn't happen until 1865 with the ending of the Civil War. That was a very dark period in our history. But one of the things that's significant about that was the music that came from that time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when the people were enslaved, bringing over on the boats, there was a lot of humming and moaning and things like that, things that they brought from Africa. It's significant to notice that the humming and the moaning were really kind of based on five notes, five
Oh,
five notes on that,
5 notes.
five notes. And even after being here in the States and being enslaved, those same five notes were used for different purposes. Historians call that class of music Negro spirituals.
Okay.
Well, the Negro spiritual back then would be used for different things. Sometimes it was like a lookout piece. Nobody knows the trouble I see, which means something is about to happen over here.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm going to escape, I wade in the water, things like this.
Okay.
Or let us break bread together. When I fall on my knees in the face of the rising sun, that's a meeting time. What time are we going to meet? Well, when the sun comes up. All
That's
those are
awesome.
hidden. All those are hidden messages in there. But everything based on five different notes. You can play almost any spiritual using just five notes. Well, as things happen, and the Civil War ended slavery basically, there was another period called the Reconstruction period when blacks kind of flourished for a little while until the Jim Crow laws were put in there. But people started to do different things with those five notes. They started to embellish them. They started to uh, hit bigger intervals and things like that. And they started to slur some of the words, and people come to sing like Big Mama Rainey and Betsy Smith, and they started singing those songs. And out of these spirituals came another kind of music. This one they called the blues on this.
Okay.
Well, the father of the blues, a man named W.C. Handy, who wrote all kinds of blues. His most famous one was the St. Louis blues. He wrote the Memphis blues and several others on that. But the root of all this was the Negro spiritual. It was a very important thing. In fact, big singers like Marian Anderson and Roland Hayes would always sing spirituals on their concerts. They would never end their concerts unless they did, quote, a Negro spiritual.
Wow.
It had a big effect on a school in Tennessee called Fisk University. That school was about to go bankrupt, but some of the students got together and said, let's see if we can save our school. And they formed a thing called the Fisk Jubilee Singers and went all over the world singing nothing but Negro spirituals. And they raised enough money to keep that school open, and that school is still open today. Well, getting back to where it went, if we look at the spirituals as being the root of this, and now here comes the blues, and then all of a sudden, here's a man named, forget it, Thomas A. Dorsey, who says, who had an episode in the hospital with his wife being ill. And as he sat there, he was a blues writer. And he
Wow.
started writing another song. And this song everybody knows is Precious Lord, Take My Hand.
Take my hand.
So he became what is called the father of gospel music. Well, the music continues to evolve, going on more and more and more. And then there's something happening in the city of New Orleans, in a special section of New Orleans called Storyville. And they're playing a whole nother kind of music. There's Kid Ory down there playing the trombone. There's Bo Bolton playing the trumpet. Some others down there who are playing a whole different style of music. And people would go down there just to hear this music. Well, it was a part of New Orleans called Storyville. And a lot of illegal things were happening in Storyville, right? Like there might have been prostitution, illegal booze sales, and things like that. And so the mayor of New Orleans said, we got to clean up our city. and we're going to break up this Storyville thing down here. And so they basically kind of raided the place, and they went in, and musicians had to scatter. They went everywhere. They went to Kansas City. They went to Chicago, went to New York, went to Los Angeles, but they still carried that music with them. Music didn't even have a name. But someone said that while they were playing it in Chicago, someone said, "Oh, that music is jazz." That's almost saying like that's dope in today's slang. And said, "What did you say?" He said, "Oh, I think that music is jazz. It's spelled Jass."
Okay.
Well, uh, Webster comes along, so that's not the way to spell jazz. You spell jazz Jazz. And they went on, and now another kind of music has been born. But what has happened here? See what happened? It all came from the Negro spirituals, from those same 5 notes. Now you got this world, this thing of all kinds of notes coming from everywhere in all different styles, and it's grown today. So we say that jazz and blues are American born, gospel American born, but appreciated all around the world. Everybody knows about our music, so we need to appreciate it ourselves. We as a race need to appreciate our music more than we do because we started that music.
That's awesome. I can't help but think about how Beyonce now is. She's got a country album,
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
and
yeah.
she said, "Well, it came from us."
Came from us. Exactly right. Exactly right. And we didn't know that. That's why the museums and things what you're doing are so important because we can't let people forget that. Too often I hear people, saying Elvis Presley started. No, he did not.
Yeah, I mean that's
No, he
always an infuriating one. I'm a big Mama Thornton fan, so you could stop with that one.
yeah,
It's in what you say about not knowing where your music come from because I'm only 45, but when I was a kid, if you listened to country or rock and roll or anything else, like why are you listening to that white boy music? And I'm like, what are you talking
what are you
about?
talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Where do you think that came from?
yeah.
So it's always important to talk about that.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
This is what we do. Lissette just said she performed at our program. We have a
Mhm.
series of programs that go through May, June, and July. Every Sunday afternoon, there's a different artist who appears on the grounds. And I want them to talk about the music. We have
Mhm.
all genres. There's jazz, there's blues, there's gospel out there every Sunday afternoon. It starts at 6 o'clock on the
Mhm.
grounds. But that to me is so important that our people hear the music and learn about the music and know who started it.
Yeah, the story of the music is always the best aspect of the music, and actually listen because sometimes you hear good music, but you're not hearing the words, but it
Exactly.
sounds good,
Yeah.
and understanding the words and where they came from can give you a greater appreciation of that music. That's how I ended up liking other genres of
Yeah.
music. I got looked at weird where I grew up because like, why are you listening to Johnny Cash? I'm like, well, I'm listening. I know he's not black, but I'm like, I'm listening to the words and
Mhm.
I'm getting it. And music is just that thing. It's universal. It speaks to every. It always amazes me when you see a young kid and they're listening to old music.
Yeah.
And they go, well, how do you know that music? And I always say, good music knows no age or
That's
time.
They'll never die. Exactly
That's
right.
good.
Exactly right. You
It's
brought up a
timeless.
good point. I do that even now in performing. I think knowing the words are important. I can put more feeling into what I'm doing if I know what the song is saying.
Mhm.
You take a pop song like "The Nearness of You," and as I try to play that, I'm hearing the lyrics also. Now I can put more into the keys of that because I'm trying to say what the lyricist was trying to purvey on the music. I think that's very important.
That's the one thing I miss about albums and when they used to do the CD compilations, when you would get the book and
Yeah,
it would tell you the backstories
yeah, yeah.
of the song and the music. Because
I
when
love
you
that.
know why somebody wrote a particular song
Right.
and what mindset they were in, you can feel it. But that's why Elton has that song, Turn On Sad Songs When You Feel Sad. And you think, why would I turn on a sad song if I'm already sad? But then when you turn on the sad song and you hear it and you feel it, you actually feel better, which is
Yeah.
Yeah,
doesn't sound like that's supposed to happen.
yeah.
This is awesome because I remember. I'm gonna quote you when you was at a previous interview. You said you plan a lot of notes, but how are you reaching the audience with your message? I think
Yeah,
it's
that goes back. There's a story with that. As you mentioned, Roberta Flack was our first vocalist, and we were playing a gig in Belhaven, North Carolina, of all places. And I remember the song. It was the blues we were playing, and she sang a little verse, and it was my time to take a saxophone solo. Well, I went up and I played a gang of notes. I was ripping all over the horn. I was showing off my skills, and it's all over the instrument. And when I finished the song, Roberta said, "You know, you played a lot of notes, but you didn't say anything." I've never, I've never forgotten that. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, "What do you mean?" She said that there was no message. You know, when you're going to take a solo, the solo should have some direction. It should have some meaning. You just don't play a gang of notes that don't reflect anything. And I've never forgotten. So I tell it all the time that if you're going to do something that's as a solo or something that it's got to be meaningful. There's got to be some hidden messages there that you are conveying to your audience. You're playing for somebody else, not just for yourself.
Yeah,
I
it's just not
agree.
my time. I love Roberta. My introduction to Roberta Flack is because I liked Vicki Lawrence because I liked Mama's Family, and Killing Me Softly. I actually heard the Vicki Lawrence version first,
Yeah, yeah,
and you know how it is when you redo someone's song, and then when Roberta Flack came out, and I was like, because the song was beautiful with Vicki Lawrence, but
yeah.
then when Roberta Flack did it, it was like, whoo, that was a whole nother stratosphere, right?
Roberta heard it
Um,
too. Roberta heard it. Yeah, she heard it, and she
yeah,
was talked into doing that song. She didn't. She didn't want to do it at first.
yeah, I wrote the backstory on it. She said it was she didn't believe in redoing songs that were already good.
That's right. Yeah,
And she's like, there's nothing wrong with the song. It's a beautiful song. But she said I remember reading again, we're talking about the CDs with the books, right?
yeah.
And she was sitting there. I don't remember if it was on a tour bus, a plane, or something. And she just kept listening to the song. And the more she listened to it, she's like, I got to do this
I got to
song.
do this song. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. I see that you play instruments too, Bill. What kind of instruments do you play?
Well, I was a saxophone major at Virginia State, and I played saxophone for years. But like I said, I'm 91 now, and I don't have the air that I used to have. So I guess that's to be expected. So I have not played saxophone now in over a year, and so I've kind of just resigned myself to doing keyboard now. You might see my vibraphone that's in the background. It's behind me back here.
I see the ivory.
Yeah, yeah, and I do piano,
Can you
and
play us a song?
Here she go. I knew she was going. I knew she was going to treat you like a jukebox. Hey, Bill, I'm gonna tell you something, Bill. Before you tickle the ivories, I've wanted to say that for a long time. Before you tickle the ivories, I don't like saxophonists because they got all the attention.
yeah,
Ladies love the saxophonist.
yeah, I heard that. I heard that. Yeah, I'll do something here. Here's wait a minute.
Lessette, you're embarrassing.
Thank you.
See,
Thank
this is why I don't have comedians on because I know you're gonna say, "Tell us a joke."
This is summertime fucking best.
That is
That
so
was
beautiful.
not only awesome.
Thank you.
We got almost a concert up in here,
Wow, that's
right? We got,
awesome,
and the
Bill.
audience has something to say to you too, Bill.
Okay. Oh,
Well, Bill, while we let you catch your breath, we're gonna play a little thing for you, a little game with you. You ready to play a game, Bill?
good.
It's called Black Music Trivia. Uh-oh. All right, Bill. So I'm gonna softball you in with an easy one
Okay.
first. The Apollo Theater, famous for its role in the Harlem Renaissance, was originally opened as a white-only theater in what year? Was it 1913 or 1923?
I want to say 23.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be an easy one for you, Bill. It was 1913,
No kidding.
but I know you're gonna get the rest. And this one's gonna be right up your alley. This jazz legend referred to music as his mistress.
Duke Ellington.
Yeah, ding, 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 ding. That is correct. And I should have softballed you with this one. When did the Harlem Renaissance take place? Was
I
it the
don't know.
1920s or the 1900s?
1900s.
That is correct. 1900 to 1920. And 20 was the year that it officially kicked off. Let's see. Here's a good one. What was the blues singer Leadbelly's real name?
I do know that. I do know that.
All right, here's your multiple choice.
Yeah,
Was it Brownie Ledbetter, Hoodie Ledberry, or Lawrence
I think it was
Ledbetter?
Lawrence.
Lawrence. It was Hootie.
Rudy.
What this proves to me is we always say you forget more knowledge than a lot of people know.
Uh,
And last one, I'm gonna give you. William Grant is still. William Grant was famous for what? Was it writing or composing?
okay. Grant was a composer.
You are correct. There we go. Thank you, Bill, for playing our game, Black Music Trivia. You actually got a passing score, which that's not surprising, right? I was actually going to jump in and start singing when you were playing, but I think the audience was enjoying what was happening, so I decided to shut my mouth. Back to you, Lessette.
I had to turn my back tape when I played the violin, but that's what they set up like that.
No, that's okay. It still was great. Clarence says, "Go Bill." That was awesome. C said, "Bravo." Barbara Hinnett, and forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong, says, "I love this. Thank you." And then Clarence said, "Maybe Mr. Myers can come back and do another show." Now, listen, you and Lessette settle down. He's not coming to do a concert, and he's not a jukebox. All right, that's all you get, Clarence.
Mr. Myers, you are so awesome. That music just put a big smile on my face for sure. You are such a genius. You remind me of my father because he was a guitarist,
Yeah, you
and
told me that. Yeah.
and you favor him so much. You're just like a father to me. You're absolutely awesome.
Thank
You
you.
know, Bill, with all the music that we hear now at this, at the present state that we are, musicians that are singing, you have artists playing, artists that are singing this, that, and other. So, do you think the music is in good hands with the new generation that is on the horizon now?
Well, I think it's evolving. I think people are beginning to recognize that you cannot get past the standards and things that happen. You
Mhm.
see, you only have so many choices. You got a chromatic scale that you got to put all these notes from. It's the style is what makes the difference. Style makes the difference. You wonder how somebody who plays the same instrument and you can recognize them right away because of their style, you know.
Mhm.
And so that happens. And I wonder about the generation. When hip hop came to be, I was not a big fan of that. In fact, I couldn't even understand what they were saying sometimes. But I love the hip hop beats. I really like those on that. I think what's happening is that people want instant gratification. They're seeking dollars instead of looking at the quality of the product on that.
Mhm.
It's very easy now to buy a 10-cent piano that would virtually play by itself. You mash buttons now. You don't have to know how to transpose the music. You just mash a button and it does it for you. The rhythms are already set in there for you. And so it makes you not have to think on that because it's automatic. That bothers me a little bit because I think you still need to know about the music. You need to know how music is made. What's a whole note? What's a whole rest? What's a fermato? All those things I think are important that you need to know, not because it's instant on your keyboard. And I think that's what we miss sometimes, and that bothers me. But we have some artists
Yeah.
who are genuine, who can
Yeah.
right, who take it seriously, who are not there just for the instant dollar
Mhm.
on that they take it seriously, they take their craft seriously, and can play
Mhm.
and do that. And I want to motivate those people to do
Mhm.
more on that. But there's so many people
Mhm.
out there who are looking for a hit record or a record deal like that who know absolutely nothing about music.
And those people don't last, and you still have those people out there, like let's say a Bruno Mars who's still writing. He can
Yeah,
play every instrument on the stage.
yeah,
But Bill, doesn't that goes to two things? One, it's the consumer because they're only going to sell what we're consuming, right? And we've got to support those artists that write, produce, compose an entire. Like sometimes people will get mad when somebody wins album of the like Beck won album of the year over Beyonce one year,
yeah.
and everybody was in an uproar. I'm like, do you know how hard it is to write, compose an entire album
Mhm.
on your own?
Right.
That's incredibly hard. So I know you do, Lessette. But one of the things I want you to talk about, Bill, is one of the reasons why we don't know that because when I went to high school, they in elementary school, that's when they started taking music out of school.
Yeah, yeah,
Music is being removed from school. When you had music in elementary, that was the ability for the teacher to identify who had music talent at that age. They gave you the recorder. Remember, they gave you the recorder, let you play the
yeah.
little silly recorder to kind of gauge where you're at. And don't you feel like that's a big part of why?
Oh, I know it's a big part. I've been a fighter for that for years. I'm still
Mhm.
fighting for that. I've been to see members of the legislature, and I've talked to all kinds of committees because they're not realizing the power of the arts. See, the arts are
Yes.
more than a group of notes. The arts, the music is the language of the soul, basically. When you can
Yes.
do so many things that make you communicate with others, that you have to get along with people, even to play in a band you have to work together to play in the band, you know. And these types of things I think are overlooked because they see music as a frill thing here that we don't have. It's extracurricular, and we don't have to spend that kind of time. I went to a committee one time, and we worked real hard on this and suggested to the members of the North Carolina legislature that we require a music course to get to graduate from high school.
Yes.
Well, I thought I made a good argument, but it didn't pass completely in the state. Some people bought it because I was talking to a room full of superintendents and things like that. And I said, you just don't realize how strong this thing is. A lot of kids actually stay in school because of their association with music and art and things like that and drama. And I think it should be a requirement. You require, some cases, a foreign language. You require so many units of math, so many units in English. I think should be at least one requirement in the arts, from from grades 8 through 12. Everybody in North Carolina should take it at least one course in the arts. And I thought I made a strong argument, but as I said, it didn't pass.
It fell on deaf ears.
Yes, it did. So, some people bought into it and they agreed with it, but not enough to make a majority. In fact, I never forget that day one of the members of the legislature came up to me and she says, you think this is going to pass? I said, I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it. She says, well, I cannot afford to lose the vote on this. I said, this is not about politics. This is about what's good for our children's lives. And I'm telling you that arts play a major role in that development, and you need to support this.
Yeah,
I
more
absolutely
concerned
agree.
about voting record than about
More
the
more concerned
message
about voting records
of
than
of
what's
what
real.
you're
That's
saying.
exactly right.
Yeah,
That's sad,
and
but it's true.
Yeah. And then when people come back later and go, we have a problem with kids not doing this and that, it's like, well, we tried to prevent the problem by telling you the tools to
Exactly.
give them and you kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
So what do you want us to do now?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
I absolutely agree because in when I was in high school, well, really in elementary school on up to high school, I was in band, and that made the difference to me. I played clarinet, so
Yeah.
it made a lot of difference to me to be able to express myself. I mean, you just can't express yourself in sports because they will say, well, we'll put them in some sports, but what about music? What
Yeah.
about art?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes the difference where you can
Yeah.
express yourself. I
Exactly.
mean, this is so awesome, Bill.
Mm.
You know, it's just amazing to me how that uh, um, we can't we can't forget, give up on our heritage. Our history is great and it's rich. It's rich,
Mhm.
and that we have a lot to be proud of as a black people, as African American people in this country. We have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep.
We've
Yep.
given a lot to this
Oh my
country
God.
and to the world. We really have.
Bill,
Yes.
how do you feel about because when I was younger and I would hear artists of my time redoing, not redoing old songs. I like when they incorporate old songs into their music, like use the original artist on the hook because it always sounds cooler.
Mhm.
But I used to be annoyed with that. But as I got older, I kind of liked it because it made me go and listen to the original song. And I think people lose that too. They get upset when they hear their favorite song or an artist back in the days being sampled. I'm like, but that's bringing attention to the original artist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll even see it in sales. You'll see an artist today sample a song, the Dionne Warwick song "Walk On By."
Mhm.
It was sampled, and all of a sudden you see Warwick record sales go up
Yeah.
today
He
in
gives me money
2024.
when I'm in need. Oh, she's a trifling goat.
But I mean, that's how I feel about. That's what I take out of when someone samples a song when they do it tastefully. When they sample a song, I feel like that exposes people to go and hear the original song when they find out it's a sample.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's a lot of sampling done, even with the hip hop artists.
Hmm.
There's a sample from James Brown and others on that. Yeah,
Hmm.
and I agree with that. I think that makes you remember who that original artist was on that. It
Yeah.
makes you go way back sometimes. Yes.
It's funny that you said James Brown because you played instruments. How and I used to watch interviews of people who played with James Brown, and they talked about how they would be on pins and needles because you didn't know where he was going.
Well, he was not alone in that. James was not a quote a musician. He was
Uh-huh.
an entertainer. And in fact, you probably can not even understand some of the words that James Brown is saying.
Please, please,
Yeah,
please.
please, please, please. But he was demanding what he wanted.
Yeah.
His thing was rhythm. He
Yeah.
was, I call it rhythmic hypnosis.
Hmm.
He could actually hypnotize you with that rhythm. That rhythm would
Yeah.
soak into your head so quickly and,
Yeah.
and stay there that you had to groove with the beat.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
can't sit still with this beat. It comes
Yeah.
from that. Uh, and, and a lot of them did that.
Yeah.
I played with Otis Reddy, and Otis would come
Hmm.
in. Otis did not have any music, like a Millie Jackson would come in and have manuscript and pass it out and count
Hmm.
it off and say, "Let's play." But Otis had no music. He would come in and explain to you what he wants you to do. He would
Hmm.
say, now, when I turn and spin like this, I want you to go da 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 right down the line." And we had to memorize his movement on that so we could do better for his show. So there was a lot of that done when there were no formal music scripts available, but you had to have it explained to you. I used to play with a group called the Winstead United Minstrel Show. This was a big
Hmm.
tent that would come to your town every year and set up a big tent and have a big show. And we would be in the band. They'd pick up musicians to play in the band. Well, they would always bring maybe one musician, maybe a trumpet player, who would play what we call the first lick. And what you had to do was listen to that, and then you'd harmonize it when you play it again. So the idea, you had to be a listener. And that's still so
Hmm.
important in music today that you got to be able to hear, you got to listen and be
Yeah.
able to compliment what's being done. So sampling is a compliment, yeah.
Now, this is awesome, but I also want to listen to my audience out there. What kind of questions do we have out there, Keone? Because I can't.
No, we have better than question. We have comments.
What's your
That's what we
comment?
have. We have a lot of people making comments. I've been flashing them on the screen. A couple of last ones that I was doing while you're. Barbara says, "Thank you, Lessette, for inviting me. This was very educational." Sierra said, "I played violin for 4 years, and it became a big part of my academic growth. So yes, I agree. Music belongs in the school curriculum." And then she said, "Protect this man at all costs." Um, she also said, "Anderson Pock, if I'm saying the name right, is a great musician. Was a great musician too."
It's good.
I'm not familiar with Anderson Pock, but I'm not familiar with everybody. So, you know, uh, I just wanted to hear that experience, and I'm glad you explained it like that because I'm not a musician, but I would be nerve wracked to have somebody that big, the hardest working man in showbiz, that big, and you got to just know where to go with no direction. Like you just
Yeah.
got to feel it. So
Wow,
that's pretty cool.
that is
That's cool.
cool.
Can you tell me what was your fondest artist to work with? Whether that was in concert or in the studio, it just gave you great joy when you knew you were collaborating with this artist. Besides Lessette.
No.
Well, I have to go back to Roberta. I think
Mm-hmm.
Roberta is a classy lady. A lot of people didn't realize that Roberta was not only a heck of a singer, but a heck of a pianist. She was a concert trained pianist, and she's not given a lot of notice about her ability to play. But a fine, fine, fine musician who was very knowledgeable. She went to Howard University, around all the good musicians in Washington D.C. But Roberta was a stickler for having it right. She would record something and do it 50 times. And then maybe go back to the one she did the first. But she kept saying, I think I can improve on this. I think I can make this better. I think I can make this better. And I think that's what we owe our public. How can we make it better? Just not being satisfied with the first take. I need to do it again. I need to do it again and again and again. And sure, I might go back to the first one. I did it best the first time. But I think Roberta would be that person.
Quincy Jones made a statement when they talked to him because we were always going to talk just like we did to you of the before generation about the music today. And Quincy Jones, I always love his quotes because I stole his quote of he's saying it's every generation's job to complain about the next generation's music.
Yeah,
But he said someone at one point said that darn jazz, that darn rock and roll, that darn, and it just keeps going, right?
yeah,
And so one of the things he said, why aren't albums made like they used to? Because I always ask the question, with the orchestras and the music, like when you hear a band like Chicago, when you hear those horns,
yeah,
it sounds so much different than when you're hearing the horns come from a synthesizer or machine or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
So much different. And he just said the music industry will not put out the money it takes to compile an album like that anymore.
yeah, yeah,
They
Wow.
just won't do it. And so that's why getting out to your local areas, going to Memphis and New Orleans, and even if you live in Raleigh or wherever, go down to the local clubs where you have local artists playing and hear that real live music.
It's
It'll give you
nothing like
such a
it.
better feeling. Don't just turn on the radio and that's it.
yeah.
It's
Well, see,
nothing.
I'm old enough to know to have lived during that time on that when at first everything was big band. That was
Yeah.
Johnson's big band, California
Swing.
big
Yeah. Big
band,
band. Yeah.
yeah, Buddy Johnson's big band until Louis. Oh my goodness! And his
Louis
Tiffany Five.
Armstrong.
No.
Um,
Louis Jordan,
Louis Jordan.
and his Tiffany Fives came along and said, you don't need all those horns. He had 5 people and made good music and became a big hit. But studios they didn't want to pay. All of it. Duke Ellington has 18 folks and 20 people in an orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the record people are about making money.
Yeah.
So the cheaper we can do it and the more money they can make, the better for them. Yes.
Yeah, but it's interesting how it may be cheaper, but they're leaving out something. They're leaving out the
Yeah,
essence of it. I mean,
yeah,
everything is not just like they say they can clone some stuff, but still there's something missing.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
essence of it.
Yeah.
I still believe
Yeah.
there's something missing.
You also have to treat people right. I watch, as you could probably tell by now, I watch a lot of old interviews with a lot of artists learning, and the one that got me the most is Motown, and Motown could have been a thing that is still big today, but
Wow.
we ended up not treating people the way we should, our own people, and that's a story we always have to deal with. But it's a story from Teddy Pendergrass when he was with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Mhm.
That used to confuse me when I was a kid because I was only like 7, and I'm like, wait, his name is Teddy Pendergrass. Why isn't the band named after him? I didn't get it, but I know it now. But he left when he left the Blue Notes. He said they were staying in a motel. He stayed with all the guys. Harold stayed in his own room, and the guys kept complaining because they were hungry. And they're like, "You go ask Melvin's for some money. He only listens to you." So he goes over and knocks on the door, and he said, "Hey, Melvin, the guys just need a little cash to get something to eat. I mean, they're hungry." So he said, "Come in." He let him in the room. He lifted up a mattress full of money and gave him $20. He said he took the guys to get something to eat, and he never came back.
Mhm.
And it's
Wow.
like, that's the stories I listen to, and I go, wow,
Yeah.
it's
That's how
just
they do
crazy.
it.
The gangsters out there just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
that. I mean,
So we gotta do right, everybody out there. If we
Yeah.
want these musicians around today that play the music that we're talking about, that's not just spit out and sip sides, we gotta support them and we gotta treat them right.
Right.
there you go. Absolutely. I mean, this is such a good conversation. I don't want to wrap it up. I'm telling you, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't realize this. Normally I'm in your ear going, Lessette, 10 minutes, and I've totally lost track of the time. We 8 minutes over.
I know. I mean, this has been a great show, Bill. You know what? We really appreciate you coming, and I just want to give you for you to say something to some of the artists out there, because I did invite musicians to come and listen to the show today. What would you tell young musicians, or even experienced musicians that's out there on the field, and or that's that want to get more into the field, and prosper in it, and what best advice can you give them today?
Well, a couple of words that don't give up. Don't never give up on that. Be knowledgeable about your craft. Don't be one of those people, fly by night persons who just put something together. Be knowledgeable about what you're trying to do, and then be aggressive. Go out and look, and don't be disappointed by your first denial. It only takes one sometimes to say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Let's give it a try." So don't be despondent about somebody's refusal to hear you. Go try somebody else. There are hundreds, there are thousands of them out there around the country, around the world now, that you can approach and say, "Hey, listen to my music here. I'm doing this. I'm doing this." But be knowledgeable, be aggressive. Do that, and I think that gets you a long way. And believe in God; He'll lead you.
That's good. That's absolutely awesome. I mean, I really appreciate everybody coming today, and just know that as you go out in your day, just know that you are special, and that yes, you do have a gift, and you have purpose today. So I just want to sleep it back around to what we talked about at the beginning. You have purpose, and you are gifted, and you're special, and God loves you. So, you know, go forth in whatever He's giving you to do. Go forth in it. Don't wait for the table to come for you to do it. You create your own table.
Right.
All right. And
All
you be
right.
blessed.
Be
And
blessed
thank you,
yourself.
Bill.
And thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Lonnie.
Bye bye. Love you.
Have a great one.
And thank you.